The dilemma of the various religious groups in India is knit India or quit India. There are very encouraging words which have come to us from the citadels of Indian nationalism. Recently, we had the Supremo of the RSS, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, making it very clear in unequivocal terms. He said, Mr. Mohan Bhagwatji said, a Hindu who wants a Muslim to leave India is not a Hindu. Very clearly, it has been stated that this is a pluralistic society where the majority and the minorities have an inalienable right to exist and prosper. India belongs to all. India does not belong to any particular group or a particular community. That is the basic beauty of the unity amidst diversity, which characterizes the Indian ethos and belief. Now the question is, how do we put it in practice? I'm glad that the Honorable Bishop and Nasrat has given two sides of the same coin. We have to realize that this country is pluralistic. India is secular, not because the word secularism is there in the Constitution of India. India is secular because the Indian mind is secular. India is secular because India believes in Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, that is, the whole world is one family. That is precisely what keeps India going. As far as the Constitution is concerned, Article 21 clearly states that there shall be no discrimination on the basis of religion, language, or culture, or any other divisive tendencies. Article 30 of the Constitution grants freedom to the minorities to run their educational institutions. The Constitution is a great protection for minorities in this country, irrespective of whether one belongs to the majority or the minority. Pluralism demands, secularism demands that every Indian should be proud of being an Indian. It is a feeling in everyone. I belong not to the north or the south or the east or the west. I belong to the whole of India, and the whole of India belongs to me. That is the spirit of nationalism. And what is nationalism? Nationalism is not a narrow-minded concept. Nationalism means taking pride in what the nation does, not whatever it does. There is a difference. Taking pride in what the nation does, not whatever it does. In the Constitution of India, there are checks and balances to see that no particular community overrides the other community. We are all knit together, the one common heritage, the common ancestry, which is there for Hindus, Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, Parsis, or any religion which is existing here. We always flaunt the dove and the olive branch as symbols of peace and harmony. But in a pluralistic society, a democratic polity, I would say the porcupine represents the pluralism of India better. You know, the porcupines have a habit in extreme winter. They come to a close cuddle where thousands of porcupines stay together. Then, while other animals, they stay separately in winter. Once the young porcupines felt, why should we stay together and get hurt by the bristles of others? Why can't we be independent? So the young some of the porcupines decided to stay separate. Then came extreme winter. The porcupines started dying one by one because alone they could not stand the extreme cold. The old men once among them said, why not come together? You may get hurt. There may be bristle blow on you. There may be bruises. But the seniors among the porcupines, the elder statesmen among them, the senior citizens, they told the youngsters, the bruises of unity is better than the death of disunity. The bruises of unity is better than the death of disunity. I think in India, what we need is unity amidst diversity. Unity is not uniformity. Every religion has the freedom to believe in what it thinks is to be right. Yes, let us agree to disagree on matters of faith. Let us agree to disagree on matters of religion. But one thing is certain, India is one and India belongs to all. If that feeling is there, I am sure social integration is something which can easily be achieved in this country. Now, how to go about it? I would say that the basis of democracy is dialogue. We should have constant, incessant social dialogue among various communities of India. This social dialogue should start in the villages and flow at the national level. Every issue which is of national interest has to be taken up there, and all the best brains and the best minds, including the ordinary people, should come together, work together, stay together, talk together, and find a solution to the problems that are there, apparent or real. Therefore, I would suggest that the government of India set up a National Social Security Council, a social integration council. I repeat, a social integration council at the national level, where all shades of opinion, be it religious, be it cultural, be it linguistic, be it literary, whoever is playing a role in India should get a berth in this kind of representative bodies, which is like the Social Integration Council. These councils may remain a mere talking shop, but even then, there is a forum for every religion, every group, every ethnic community, every linguistic society to come together and express their views. Jawaharlal Nehru said, out of discussion, sometimes a little bit of truth comes out. Out of discussion, sometimes a little bit of truth comes out. Yes, there should be discussion in the Social Integration Council. I would go a step further and say that similar social integration councils, which represent all shades of opinion in this country, should be formed at the state level as well. You know, the parliament and the legislature, they represent the political will of the people, but politics is not all. In a pluralistic society, there are different shades of opinion in every aspect. Therefore, institutional mechanisms like the Social Integration Council at the national and the state level has to emerge. A second thing is that I said politics is not all. Apart from the parliament and the legislatures, why not have bicameral legislation in those states where they do not exist? We do have a bicameral legislation at the center, Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. We nominate certain people from outside politics also into the Rajya Sabha, but the number is less. Why not create bicameral legislations, all the states, so that representatives of the various minority groups, religious groups, literary groups, linguistic groups, ethnic groups, all shades of opinion can find a place where discussion should precede the decision. That is the beauty of democracy. Nowadays, what we find is that decisions precede discussion. That is what causes social tension. Now, this has a global context. What we are discussing here in this media conference with Goel has got international ramification. You know, Samuel Huntington has made a prophetic foreboding. He has said, in the conflict of civilizations, there is going to be, according to him, there is going to be a massive conflict, armed conflict even, not between countries, but between culture. The future wars will be fought, not between countries, but between cultures. And the two great cultures of the world is Christianity and Islam. As we know, there are 2.2 billion Christians in the world, 1.8 billion Muslims. If there is a conflict between these people, you know, the military and economic and political strength of these two different factions are not evenly matched. The world can go to a catastrophe. There can be an apocalyptic vision if such a conflict of cultures take place. Let us pray that it doesn't take place. Suppose it takes place, which community can act as a balancing force? That is where I would say India. The Hindus in the world constitute 1.1 billion, 2.2 billion Christians, 1.8 billion Muslims, and 1.1 billion Hindus are there. Of course, there are 1.4 billion non-believers are there. If there is a conflict of civilizations, I would say India, with its social harmony, will be able to play the role of the mediator. India will be the interlocutor. India can be the balancing force. Therefore, when we speak about social harmony, it also has got international ramifications. It is not a small subject that we are discussing here. And now at this critical juncture, when the representatives of various communities come together and hold their hands in bonhomie, I think a new era is going to be born. In the post-COVID world, a new world which is going to emerge, India is going to be on the top of the world. India will be the arbitrator. India will be the mediator. India can be the interlocutor. Therefore, we have to make peace within ourselves. India can never be a society divided among itself. We share the common heritage. We have the same common heritage of peace and harmony. What is the difference between Islam and Christianity and Hindu? I would say fundamentally there is no difference. Like all streams flow into the river, all rivers flow into the ocean, all religions also flow into the great ocean called God. We may be choosing different ways, but our aim is the same. The road is long, the goal is far, but the march is on. All of us together, holding hands, all the communities will certainly reach its goal. There is no doubt about that. Therefore, this is the occasion for us to do introspection, to think and see where we are heading. And that is very important. As you all know, if serious things come. Now, yes, when we come to the Bible says, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Is it not the same thing which the prophet also teaches? If he is not a believer, if he eats his fill when his neighbor is hungry, isn't it the same which Jesus Christ has also said? Isn't it the same sentiment which is reflected in the Hindu ethos? Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. So where is the difference? Where is the difference? There is this crow and the swan. The crow once asked the swan, which is better, my black color or your white? The swan said, your black is good, my white is also good. The crow was not satisfied. The crow said, no, that's not fair. Let us sit on the wayside. Let the passers-by decide which is better. So they sat at the wayside. One stranger comes and looks at them. The white swan and the crow sitting together looked like a swan-crow duo. The stranger said, outside it is two. Inside it is one. Yes, that is India. With all multiplicity of religions. Outside it is true. Inside it is one. It is that realization which we should take with us. It is that realization which should be take home from this kind of discussions. Therefore, let us stand united above caste, creed. Yes, we are all human beings. Right? In the name of humanity, in the name of social harmony, as brothers and sisters, let us realize our advent as the children of Jesus, as the children of Allah, as the children of Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. All are the same. If that unity comes, I think that is what will take India going. And you know, this is closely related to India's soft power. And what is soft power? I think Mr. Goel had held a meeting on this. Soft power is the power which emanates from art, culture, tradition, and heritage. In that respect, India has the greatest soft power, being the oldest civilization. Yes, but where is our soft power in the international arena? We are fighting like ignorant armies clashing at night. We are fighting against each other. That should end. We should hold hands. We should realize that we are meant to be one. United we stand, divided we fall. Unfortunately, COVID tells us, united you fall, divided we stand. But that is a COVID logic. When we come to the reality of life, India is one who is going to forge ahead. And our greatest strength is the multiplicity of religions here, the multiplicity of culture, the multiplicity of languages. Let us take pride in being a pluralistic society. Once we realize the essence of the pluralistic society, then like Rabindranath Tagore will say, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, into that heaven of freedom, let my country awake. India is going to lead. I will come to the Bible again. In the Bible, there is the story of the 5 virgins. The 5 virgins are waiting to receive the bride. They are all there with the lighted lamps. The bride doesn't come. The bridegroom doesn't come. The brides are tired. They go to sleep. At midnight, there is a knock on the door. The bridegroom has come. There were 10 virgins, as you know. 5 of them had enough of oil so they could light the lamp and welcome the bridegroom. The other 5 did not have enough oil, so they could not light the lamp and welcome the groom. This oil is the oil of unity. This oil is the oil of unity which we should always have to welcome the bridegroom when it comes. And going to the Quran, if I am wrong, kindly correct me. See, Nasrat, you can correct me. Prophet Salih of Talmud, he came before the last Prophet Muhammad. The people of Talmud, they were all sinners. They forgot Allah. They started living a life of promiscuity and sin. Prophet Salih told them the ways of Allah. They did not believe him. Somebody jeered at him and asked him, if you are the prophet, show us the proof. What is the proof? Can you create a camel from the rock? Salih prayed to Allah, and lo and behold, from the rock emerges a 10-month pregnant camel. Salih said, this camel has plenty for you, but don't kill it. Sinful people of that place, they killed God's gift, the camel, and they were all punished by God with an earthquake. Yes, whether it is the oil in the Bible or the camel of the Quran, these are the things which symbols which God has given. Keep it safe. These are the things which will finally come to your salvation. Unity is the oil. Unity is what is represented in the camel. Unity of this country is important. Once we lose it, we lose everything. Therefore, let us be united in the feeling of nationalism. I belong to India. India belongs to me. All religions lead us to God. Let there be no fight. Religion should be to create peace among men, not to create rift among men. I hope into that heaven of freedom, I am sure this country will awake if I go by the words of wisdom represented by His Grace, the Bishop, and also our young friend here. I am sure this unity will take India to the top of the world, where the whole world will gladly point our fingers at us happily and say, India is God's own country. Thank you.
God's own country, says Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. And Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, thank you very much for giving a very elaborate and a very enlightening views and about the social harmony. I would like to enlighten one very, very important point because of the paucity of time. He says that we must create a social integration council. Now, this is a very, very important point because he says like the parliament, it's a political forum, but we should have a for social integration council, which will where all the religions heads or those who have been nominated by their religions people will be participating, and they will be openly discussing all the problems or what not they have. And because of the discussion, some solutions, some truth will definitely emerge. And he even further said, why only to keep it only for the central level, let it be on the state level also, so that everybody should get the chance to discuss and see to it that no conflict should emerge among this. Although Dr. Bose, I know that because being a bureaucrat, whenever there is a conflict, then only the Mohalla peace committees and other things were constituted. But the suggestion he is giving is, why to wait for a conflict? Why not now? When we are having a good atmosphere, we should start these types of councils so that there will be no disturbance of the peace, and the social harmony will always be there. And he has quoted Bible, he has quoted Quran, he has quoted Hindus things, and he mentioned very clearly, no religion says that you hate your neighbor. Even he says that in Bible it is mentioned very clearly, love thy neighbor. In Quran, they says if your neighbor is empty empty stomach, you cannot be perfect. And similarly, in Hindu philosophy. So all these religions are telling us for a unity amongst the diversity. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Paucity of time, but whatsoever you have mentioned, I'm sure this suggestion will also be taken up by the higher ups and may come out with this suggestion to be implemented, which is going to be very, very beneficial for our country. And by this way, when what Dr. Bose says, if we will have such type of social harmony, then everyone in the world will accept India as a global leader. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Now I would like to have a question. Dr. Bose, if you have time, shall I ask the question right now to you first, if you don't mind?
Please.
Or shall I ask go in the other way?
I'll be last, yes.
Okay, last.
Please ask
Okay.
His Grace the Bishop Ji, in Metropolitan.
Okay. Yes. So my question goes to Bishop His Grace Bishop Metropolitan. Bishop, Christianity has been in India for centuries. Do you think there is any conflict between majority and minority in India? And what, according to you, is the way forward for this nation to establish social integration?
I wouldn't say we have a conflict between majority and minority. But at the same time, I don't want to ignore the fact there are skirmishes here and there. As I mentioned in my main presentation, we have to differentiate between, because there is no conflict per se with Christianity or Hindu. Here and there could be conflicts. And when we dig into the situations, most of the time, those are not religious conflicts. There could be some local goons playing their mischief. And again, coming back, as I mentioned earlier, there's always somebody who is trying to play the wrong note in the harmony. So here I would say the government, whether it is federal or the state government, to take that step to make sure that the people who play these disharmonious notes is put into control. And they should not be allowed to escape because they belong to a minority or majority. So that is something that could be considered as because as a minority, generally, I feel protected in India. Because I have crossed several national borders within my work period. But the safest place I always feel is once I cross the Indian border. Somehow I feel safe here. So I would say I feel that safety. But at the same time, the people, we have to make sure that it's the religious leaders as well as the political leaders have to make sure that these local people who try to take advantage and create disharmony should be controlled. And I always, we have even our personal discussions, I endorse and encourage. I hope the government will move forward the proposal Dr. Bose has presented with the Social Harmony Social Council includes, because we don't want anybody who doesn't have a place on the table. If our table is smaller, it is not to avoid people, we have to build a bigger table.
Thank you very much, His Grace Bishop, for giving your views. Now, my question goes to Ms. Nusrat Jahan. Ms. Nusrat Jahan, you are an active player in social integration in this country. What, according to you, are the ways of peaceful coexistence and social harmony between Hindus and Muslims?
Conflict on cultures will be happening next. So we have to be prepared for that. So I think Islam has a big role to play according to the Islam's policy. If you take a quote from every time surah from Quran ayat we call surah, in that one surah is there, Surah Mumtahana. In that clearly in the 8th version it is said, La yanhakumullahu anilladina lam yukatiluna fid dini walam yuhrijukum min diyarikum an tabruhum wa tuksitu ilayhim. Inna Allahu yuhibbil muqsitin. So in that clearly it is said, unless don't fight with anybody who's not coming to touch and fight against your religion or putting you out of your house. It's clearly said, that is the meaning of that verse. If somebody is not putting you out of the house or fighting against your religion and your belief, be kind to them and justify to them. Allah loves kindness and justify. So this Islam has to follow. That is a small and big message to the people of India. So we don't have any problem if you are a real Islam, you are
Okay.
a real Muslim.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nusrat. Now, my question goes to Dr. Bose. Very, very brief, Dr. Bose. Our Honorable Prime Minister, while addressing, when he has taken over the Prime Ministership next, the second term, and addressing the parliamentarians at the time, and he mentioned very clearly that the need for the mainstreaming the minorities. What are your views about that, comments on that? Time is very short, Dr. Bose.
I'm very encouraged and inspired by the words of wisdom from the Metropolitan and also from our young friend Nazrat. You know, the solution to the problem which is now before us is clearly given in the Bible. Leave unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God. That is a great lesson of peaceful coexistence. Once that is translated into action, I think India will be able to bury all its differences and come out together. I see before me an India rising from its sleep like a giant and shaking its invincible logs in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose. So viewers, today you have seen the different religious people who are authority in their own fields have given their views very, very clearly. And they all are that no one in India wants disharmony. We want social harmony, and we are. It's just few stress incidents here and there cannot disharm our social fabric, which we have not from now, from the very, very long centuries we have. So their views are very clear. And one thing which has emerged today in the media conference is about the National Integration Council. I'm sure the government of the day will definitely take the action and try to come out with the proposal so that whatsoever the grievances are there among the religious leaders, that can be also sorted out on that forum. Thank you very much. Today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube.